Hey folks, Dr. B here, coming to you from Shea Bagley, Castleberry Hill, my little dungeon room here that I've not fully moved into in this loft. You can see I just have clothes hanging from pipes and whatnot. It is what it is. In any case, I wanted to give you a little guidance rundown on where we are in week 2. And we continue to make significant changes to what I envision being the course schedule. I'm looking at our GoView page, and I don't have screen capture available. I can't find Kaltura available in GoView. I know it's available in iCollege, which is also D2L. Working on that, but in the meantime, this is what we've got. I'm just going to upload this video to YouTube and make it to you all, available to you all. Hopefully you've seen my update previously. The final paper will now actually be a final paper. I didn't realize how little time we had, really, or didn't appreciate that we were going to have orientation. It was like 2 weeks. You'd have to write a paper. That's ridiculous, especially with us, as I said, waiting into the first week. So if you choose to write a paper, it'll be due at the very end of our time in Ireland. That being said, I've also given you the opportunity to present at the end of the semester rather than submit a paper. What everyone is going to do, though, regardless of how you end up presenting it, either in paper or presentation form, is investigating a historical human rights abuse situation outside of Ireland, and to provide either a 4-page paper, 12.5 normal modules, or a 15-minute presentation. Either way, using 5 credible actual academic sources. Here's the thing I want to add. What I've had you read up to this point, you read the UN adopted Universal Declaration of Human Rights. You also read a little history of that document, and I also have had you read a little bit on the Vikings in Ireland, and I just posted, make note of this, like a 10-minute video on YouTube that I've looked at that it seems pretty good about the Irish fighting against the Vikings, that kind of shows how what the Vikings did in Ireland and elsewhere could be considered what you might say ex post facto violations of human rights. And y'all may want to talk in the discussions now or when we meet about, well, quote unquote human rights weren't defined until the 20th century. Can we really say what the Vikings did in raids in Ireland and elsewhere were violations of human rights? That's a discussion we can have. But I want you to understand either how they are or how they aren't, and how that gels with your understanding of what actually are human rights. In any case, getting back to the final project or the final paper, what I want you to do, I have an assignment for you, is understand that actual Universal Declaration of Human Rights is a primary source, like I said a minute ago. That means it's a document from the actual American past that we could use. So that might be anything from a letter that somebody, for purposes of this class, I guess, wrote to someone they know from Dublin to Galway in 1645. It might be a newspaper article from a Dublin newspaper in 1789. Those are actual documents from the American past that we can study. That's what historians work with. A secondary source is more like this history of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. I know I'm sitting here referring to my screen, which I know you can't see, or this history of the Vikings in Ireland. Those are secondary sources of things that have been written by us historians in modern times, looking back and describing the past. And we, of course, use primary sources to inform us in writing those secondary sources. So what I want you to do, your assignment for this week, one of them is Well, first of all, read this Vikings in Ireland piece, and I'll speak to that in a minute. Watch this Ireland versus Vikings war short video. But what I really want you to do is, in pursuit of your final project, maybe find me what you would consider a primary source document. Obviously online, you're going to be able to go to the actual archives anywhere, I don't think. Find me a primary source document that is relevant to a historical human rights abuse situation. And we talked about many of those on that first day. And if you want ideas, you can text or email me and I'll give you plenty, or I can post them on iCollege. But I want you to find what you think is a primary source relevant to some human rights abuse situation other than those associated with Ireland. This doesn't have to be something that you'll use in your final paper or project, but obviously it benefits you if it is, because it gets you started on that project right now, very, very early on. So do that, find that, drop it in. I've opened up a discussion topic on that. Drop it in there. You don't have to say much about it, but it would be nice if you were like, hey, here's the context of this. Here's the human rights abuse situation historically. Again, it can be something that's ongoing, but I want you to ground it historically. Here's how I think, or why I think this is a primary source. And maybe even beyond that, here's how it's relative to what I understand to be at this point human rights abuses in Ireland, even though I know we're just now wading into that. So that's where we're at moving into week 2. I think I'm going to, like those of you that are in my 2110 class, I think I'm going to push an assessment and an actual exam to the end of the second week. And so you should expect an online quote-unquote exam, more like a quiz, like this coming weekend. For now, what I want you to do is, obviously, hopefully you've already read the first 3 documents. You want to watch this very brief video on the Irish and Viking Wars, and then I want you to find a primary source document relevant to some human rights abuse situation other than those in Ireland that you want to study and write about for your final project or paper. I hope that makes sense. I want to briefly click on this Vikings in Ireland link, and again, I know you can't see my screen like with screen capture, but you can see there's a couple of paragraphs on the Vikings in Ireland. There's a few paragraphs on heathen graves, trading cities and minting, shipbuilding, history changes. Ignore the exercises. But then here where it says the Vikings in Ireland, and there are these subsections, like the attack on Rathlin Island, click that, read that. Balliol and the Vikings, click that, read that. The city of Dublin, 2 sections, click that and read that. It's only a few paragraphs. Limerick, click that, read that. Battle of Clontarf, Melbury at Larne, very obviously Waterford, click that, read that. And the Viking Longfort of Woodstown, click that and read that. And I think that will keep you all busy enough this week. I feel weird because I have a whole little, what I intended to be little mini lecture for my 2110 students, a 45-minute really rapid fire lecture that I posted, and you all are 3,000 level students, and I haven't yet posted a lecture for you, but I am having you read, and I promise you when we get to Ireland, that posture is going to shift tremendously. I may have my 2110 students doing a little more light reading, and I promise I'm going to be doing plenty of lecturing for you all once we're in person and we get into Civil War era in America, the famine in Ireland, the Fenians, mass migration to America, the Gilded Age, all of that. And then, I mean, obviously the Irish Revolution in the 20s, the creation of the Republic, and ongoing e-migration, and we'll spend a great deal of time on the Troubles, so fear not. But I'll close this and I'll upload this to GoView, and you guys let me know if you have any questions. In the meantime, I appreciate you.